My phone lit up with Mom's name, and I already knew what was coming. The smugness in her voice confirmed it before she even finished her first sentence. "Elena, honey, we just gave Bobby the money for his house down payment. $100,000. Isn't that wonderful?" I gripped my coffee mug tighter, forcing cheerfulness into my voice. "That's great, Mom. Really great. I know you probably wish you could have helped him too, sweetie. But with your lifestyle choices, we understood you needed to focus on yourself." My lifestyle choices. Right. Like building a 7-figure consulting business from scratch. Like paying their mortgage for 3 years when Dad lost his job. Like funding their 35th anniversary cruise last summer when they couldn't possibly afford it. Actually, Mom, Oh, and Bobby's already picked out the most darling colonial in Highland Park. 4 bedrooms, perfect for when he finally settles down with a nice girl. You remember Sarah from church? Her daughter just moved back to town. I let her ramble while opening my laptop. Right on schedule, a notification popped up from my banking app. They'd tried accessing the joint account I'd quietly closed last month. 3 attempted logins in the past hour. "Mom," I cut in, "I should go. Client meeting. Always working. You know, Elena, men don't find that very Bye, Mom. Give my love to Dad." I ended the call and immediately texted Monica. "It's happening, they just found out." Monica replied instantly. "Holy shit, you actually did it, you okay?" Was I okay? I stared at my reflection in the window of my home office. 32 years old, self-made, and finally done being the family ATM. My phone buzzed again. Dad this time. Then Mom. Then Bobby. I silenced them all and opened my email instead, where a message from my lawyer, Zechariah, waited. "Account secured. All traces of your involvement removed. They can't touch you now." I should have felt guilty. That's what good daughters feel when they cut off their parents, right? But watching the notifications pile up, the desperate attempts to access money that was never really theirs, I just felt tired. Tired and ready. Another text from Monica. "Want me to come over? We can drink wine and burn family photos?" "Rain check," I replied. "But there's something you should see." I pulled up a spreadsheet I'd been maintaining for years. Every loan, every emergency payment, every guilt trip-induced transfer. The total at the bottom still made me wince. $342,876.54. My phone rang again. Bobby. I answered this time, curious. "Elena, what the hell?" He was breathing hard. "Mom's freaking out. The account's empty." "Not empty," I corrected. "Closed. There's a difference." But I need that money. The down payment." "You mean the 100 grand they just gave you? Seems like you're covered." "That's different. This was emergency money." I laughed. Actually laughed. "Your emergencies or mine, Bobby? Because I've been handling everyone's emergencies for a decade now." "You're being selfish," he spat. "You've always been like this, thinking you're better than everyone." "No," I cut him off. "I've always been convenient. There's a difference there, too." The doorbell rang. I checked my security camera, Mom and Dad, looking panicked on my front step. "Bobby, I have to go. Congratulations on the house." I hung up as my phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. "I heard what you did. Smart girl. Call me. We should talk." Lucia. Lucia. My cousin. The other family exile. I hadn't heard from her in years, not since she'd been branded difficult for questioning our grandmother's will. The doorbell rang again, more insistent this time. I watched my parents on the camera, their faces growing increasingly desperate. Dad was holding papers, probably bank statements. Mom was crying. I sat back in my chair, sipping my now cold coffee, and opened my calendar. In exactly 1 month, Bobby's first mortgage payment would be due. In 2 months, Dad's property taxes. In 3 months, Mom's medical bills. They'd figure it out. They'd have to. Just like I had, every time they'd drained me dry and called it love. My phone buzzed with Lucia's message again. Outside, my parents finally gave up and walked away, But not before Dad slipped a note under my door. I didn't need to read it. I knew what it said. The thing about family is, they never expect you to stop playing your assigned role. The reliable daughter. The convenient ATM. The quiet fixer of other people's messes. But roles can change, and I was done playing mine. I picked up my phone and typed, "Hi, Lucia. Let's talk." "You look tired, honey. Are you eating enough? Working too hard again?" Mom fussed with my collar at Sunday dinner, her fingers lingering just long enough to make it feel like an accusation. "A woman your age needs to take care of herself. You're not getting any younger." I smiled tightly, carefully extracting myself from her grip. The dining room was suffocating with fake pleasantries and the smell of pot roast. Bobby sat across from me, practically glowing as he detailed his new house plans to Dad. "And the master bath has this huge soaking tub. Perfect for a future wife, right?" He winked at Mom, who beamed back adoringly. "Speaking of which," Mom chirped, "Sarah's daughter Rachel is single again. Such a sweet girl, and she works part-time at the library. Much more suitable hours than what you keep, Elena." I stabbed a potato with more force than necessary. "My hours suit me just fine, Mom. My business cleared 7 figures last year." The table went silent. Dad's fork clattered against his plate. That's very aggressive of you, sweetheart," Mom finally said, her voice dripping with concern. "Men don't usually like women who make more than them," I finished. "Yeah, you've mentioned that several times." Bobby laughed nervously. "Come on, sis. No need to get all feminist about it. Hey, want to hear about the wine cellar I'm planning?" "Actually," I set down my fork, "I'd love to hear how you're affording all these renovations, considering your salary at the car dealership." More silence. Dad cleared his throat. "Elena, that's not very—" "What? Not very ladylike to ask about money? Funny, you never thought it was unladylike when you needed me to cover your mortgage." "That was different," Mom snapped. "That was family helping family. This attitude of yours, this cutthroat business mentality, it's not healthy." My phone buzzed. A text from Zechariah. "Final paperwork filed. You're officially clear." I smiled, genuinely this time. "You know what's not healthy, Mom? The fact that I paid for your knee surgery last year while you were setting aside money for Bobby's house fund." Bobby's face reddened. "Hey, that's not fair. You're just jealous because—" "Because what?" I stood up, my chair scraping back. "Because I worked my ass off while you coasted? Because I built something real while you waited for handouts? Or because I finally stopped being everyone's backup plan?" "Elena!" Dad slammed his hand on the table. "That is enough. Apologize to your brother right now." I laughed, a sharp, cold sound that made Mom flinch. "No." "What did you say?" I said no. I'm done apologizing for being successful. I'm done being told I'm too ambitious, too aggressive, too much. And I'm definitely done watching you throw money at Bobby while treating me like an ATM with a personality disorder. Mom started crying. Right on cue. "How can you be so cruel? After everything we've done for you." "Everything you've done for me?" I pulled out my phone, opened my notes app. "Let's review, shall we? Last 3 years. Your mortgage, $48,000. Mom's surgery, $35,000. Dad's car repair, $12,000. Bobby's temporary loan, $15,000. The anniversary cruise you couldn't afford, $8,000. "Stop it," Dad warned. "And now," I continued, "you give Bobby $100,000 for a house he can't afford, while telling me I need to be more suitable for marriage? Make it make sense, Mom." Bobby stood up, face purple. "You're just bitter because you're alone. At least I'm trying to build a real life. A real life built on Mom and Dad's money. And what you thought would be my money too, right? That's why you got Nick to co-sign instead of asking me? Because you knew I'd see right through it?" His silence was answer enough. My phone buzzed again. "Monica, you okay? Need backup?" I texted back quickly. "Almost done. Meeting you in 20. If you walk out that door, Dad said quietly, don't bother coming back. I looked at him, really looked at him. The man who taught me to ride a bike and balance a checkbook, now threatening me for having the audacity to succeed on my own terms. That's the thing, Dad. I'm not the one who needs to come back. I'm not the one who's going to need anything from anyone anymore. I grabbed my purse and headed for the door. Behind me, Mom called out, Elena, please, we're your family. I turned back one last time. No, you're not. You're just people who expected me to set myself on fire to keep everyone else warm. And I'm all out of matches. The door closed behind me with a soft click. My phone buzzed with a text from Lucia. Did you do it? Yes, I replied, walking to my car. Your turn. The sun was setting as I drove away, casting long shadows across the neighborhood where I grew up. Where I learned that being a good daughter meant being a convenient one. Where I finally learned to say no. Behind me, in that house with its perfectly manicured lawn and carefully maintained appearances, my family was about to learn what happens when their safety net decides to save herself instead. Your brother missed his first mortgage payment, Monica announced, sliding into our usual booth at the coffee shop. 3 weeks late and counting. I stirred my latte, unsurprised. Let me guess, he tried calling me first? 17 times, according to your blocked calls log. She pulled out her phone. Also, your mom's been posting passive-aggressive Bible quotes on Facebook. Something about ungrateful children and eternal damnation. How original. I took a sip of my coffee just as my phone lit up with an unknown number. Nick's voice came through, tight with panic. Elena, please don't hang up, it's about Bobby. I put the call on speaker for Monica's benefit. What about him? He told me you'd cover the payments if things got tight, said it was already arranged. I never would have co-signed if you'd known he was lying? I finished. Yeah, that tracks. Elena, please, my credit score is not my problem, I cut in. Neither is Bobby's mortgage or his lies. After he hung up, Monica leaned forward. You know this is going to get worse before it gets better, right? They're not going to just accept that the Bank of Elena is closed. As if on cue, my phone rang again. Mom? Elena? Her voice was wobbling. Baby, we need to talk about Bobby's situation. Do we? He's your brother. He's struggling and we can't help right now. Our savings. You mean the savings you emptied for his down payment? A pause. That was different. We assumed you'd help if he needed it. You always have before. And that's exactly the problem, Mom. You all assumed I'd keep fixing everything. Did you ever once ask if I wanted to? If I could afford to? But you're so successful. She was crying now. You have that big business, all those clients. And that makes me what? The family piggy bank? That's not fair. We're blood, Elena. Family helps family. I thought about the spreadsheet on my laptop. Years of one-way help documented in cold, hard numbers. Funny how that only seems to apply to me helping everyone else. Is this about the house money? Are you really this jealous of your brother? No, Mom. This is about patterns. This is about consequences. Monica was watching me intently, concern etched on her face. She mouthed, You okay? Elena, Mom's voice hardened. If you don't help your brother, he could lose everything. Then he'll know exactly how I felt every time you drained my accounts for emergencies. Every time you dismissed my success as somehow wrong or unfeminine. Every time you picked him over me. That's not... Did you know I had to postpone buying my own house 3 years ago? Because Dad needed that new truck for his image? Or that I canceled my vacation last year to pay for your cruise? Silence on the line. But sure, Mom, let's talk about Bobby losing everything. After I hung up, Monica slid her hand across the table. You're shaking. I'm angry, I corrected. There's a difference. My phone buzzed with a text from Lucia. Heads up, They're calling the whole family, trying to paint you as unstable, ungrateful. Classic playbook. Let them, I texted back. Monica frowned at her phone. Your mom's already posted 3 more Bible quotes. And, oh wow, Bobby just went live on Facebook. He's crying about family betrayal and toxic success. I laughed despite myself. Toxic success? That's new. Elena, Monica's voice turned serious. Are you sure about this? Watching them implode might feel good now, but this isn't about feeling good, I interrupted. This is about finally letting them face reality. They made their choices. They chose to enable Bobby, to exploit me, to build their whole lives on the assumption that I'd keep sacrificing myself for their comfort. And now? Now they get to live with those choices. My phone lit up again. Nick had posted publicly about Bobby's missed payments. The comments were already flowing in. Family members choosing sides, old friends expressing shock. Your dad's texting, Monica reported, still monitoring the fallout. Says he's coming to your office tomorrow to sort this out once and for all. I pulled up my calendar, already knowing what I'd find. Perfect timing. My lawyer will be there too. Zechariah and Lucia. I showed her the meeting invitation. Time to show them exactly what they've been playing with. Monica sat back, studying me. You know what scares them most? It's not losing the money. It's losing control. You were supposed to be the reliable one, the fixer, the good daughter. Instead, I'm the mirror, I finished. Showing them exactly who they are, and they hate what they're seeing. Outside, rain started falling, soft and steady. Somewhere across town, my brother was probably still crying on Facebook. My parents were probably still quoting scripture about ungrateful children. And I was finally free of the obligation to care. My phone buzzed one last time. Lucia, ready for tomorrow? More than ready, I replied. Time to show them what consequences really look like. Lucia looked exactly as I remembered her. Sharp eyes, sharper smile, and an air of carefully contained fury. She sat across from me at the upscale restaurant, stirring her martini with deliberate precision. I saw this coming 10 years ago, she said. When they did the same thing to me, different details, same story. The trust fund? I asked. She nodded. Grandmother left it for both of us. Your mom, my dear aunt, convinced everyone I was unstable because I questioned their authority. Next thing I knew, poof, money gone, family turned against me, branded the difficult one. How much? 200,000 each. She took a sip. But you already knew that, didn't you? That's why you called me back. I pulled out my laptop, opened a folder labeled Family Assets. Look at this. I turned the screen toward her. 3 weeks before they gave Bobby the house money, there was a transfer from an old account. One I used to fund their emergencies. Lucia leaned forward, eyes narrowing. They used your own money to give him the down payment? 40,000 of it. Money I'd sent them last year for Mom's medical bills. I closed the laptop. Bills that mysteriously never got paid, according to the hospital's records. Jesus! Lucia sat back. And they still don't think they did anything wrong, do they? Mom's latest Facebook post calls me a daughter of Jezebel. So no. The waiter brought our entrees. We ate in silence for a moment before Lucia spoke again. There's something else you should know. She pulled out her phone, showed me an email. Remember that property in Spain? The one grandfather left to all the grandchildren? My fork froze halfway to my mouth. The villa? What about it? Your mother sold it, 3 months ago, without informing any of the other owners, including you. The restaurant suddenly felt too warm, too crowded. That's not possible. She'd need signatures. Forge them. All of them. I have proof. Lucia's voice was gentle but firm. She's been planning this, Elena. They all have. The money they gave Bobby? It's just the tip of the iceberg. My phone buzzed. Monica sending a screenshot of Bobby's latest social media rant. Family is everything until success makes you forget where you came from. Funny, Lucia commented, reading over my shoulder. They never seem to forget where to find us when they need money. Did you ever confront them? I asked. About the trust fund? I tried. Got the same response you're getting now. Bible verses, family loyalty lectures, gaslighting about how I was imagining things. She smiled grimly. But I did something they didn't expect. What? I documented everything, every transaction, every lie, every manipulation. Built a case so solid they couldn't twist their way out of it. She pulled out a USB drive. Just like you're doing now. I stared at the small device. What's on it? Everything. Bank records, property documents, emails, 10 years of their financial fraud, including what they did to you. She slid it across the table. Consider it insurance. My phone lit up again. Dad this time. We're still coming tomorrow. This ends now. They have no idea, do they? Lucia mused. That we're 10 steps ahead? I thought about the meeting tomorrow, about Zechariah's carefully prepared documents, about the years of evidence I'd collected. You know what's ironic? I said. They taught us this. All those lectures about being careful with money, keeping receipts, protecting ourselves. They just never thought we'd use those lessons against them. That's the thing about narcissists, Lucia replied. They think they're the only ones who can play the game. The waiter brought our check. As I reached for it, Lucia caught my wrist. Let me, she said. Consider it a down payment on our new partnership. Partnership? She smiled. That same sharp smile that had probably terrified our family years ago. You're not the only one who's been planning, cousin. What they did to us, it's happening to other women too, other families, and we're going to help them fight back. My phone buzzed one final time, Zechariah confirming tomorrow's meeting details. Everything was in place. You know they'll try to destroy us for this, I said. Lucia laughed, a real laugh, warm and fierce. Oh, honey, they already tried that. Now it's our turn. We stepped out into the evening air. 2 exiles turned allies. Somewhere across town, my parents were probably planning their attack for tomorrow, believing they still held all the cards. They had no idea what was coming. Ready for tomorrow? Lucia asked as we parted ways. I thought about the USB drive in my bag, about 10 years of receipts, about all the women like us who'd been silenced by family loyalty. Ready, I replied. Let's show them what daughters of Jezebel can really do. The doorbell rang at exactly 7 p.m. I watched through my security camera as Mom smoothed her hair and Dad adjusted his tie, their battle armor for confrontation. Bobby stood behind them, looking less confident than usual. I buzzed them in. Zechariah and Lucia were already seated in my home office, documents spread across the table. Elena? Mom's voice carried down the hallway. Sweetheart? In here, I called back. They filed in, faltering slightly at the sight of Lucia. Mom's face went pale. What is she doing here? Dad demanded. Sitting, Lucia replied smoothly. It's what people generally do during financial audits. Financial? Elena, what is this? Mom's voice trembled. I gestured to the chairs. Please, sit down. We have a lot to discuss. If this is about Bobby's house, Dad started. This is about everything, I interrupted, opening my laptop. Every loan, every emergency, every missing dollar, including the villa in Spain. Mom's hand flew to her throat. I don't know what you're— Save it, Lucia cut in. We have the documentation, all of it. Zechariah cleared his throat. Mrs. Bennett, Mr. Bennett, I'm afraid you're in quite a serious situation. Fraud, unauthorized property sale, forged signatures. This is ridiculous. Dad slammed his hand on the table. We're family. Elena, stop this nonsense right now. I pulled up the spreadsheet. My karma audit, as I'd started calling it. Let's start with last year, March. You needed $15,000 for Mom's knee surgery. Money that never made it to the hospital. April, $12,000 for Dad's truck repairs. May, $8,000 for your anniversary cruise. June. We paid you back, Bobby interjected. No, I corrected. You promised to pay me back. There's a difference. Elena, Mom's voice turned pleading. Everything we did was for this family. You're successful. You could afford. Could I? I turned the laptop toward them. Because while I was paying your bills, I was also taking out business loans, postponing my own life, draining my savings, all while you were secretly funneling money into Bobby's house fund. Dad stood up. This is emotional manipulation. No, Lucia said quietly. This is accountability, something this family has always been allergic to. I pulled out a manila envelope. This contains evidence of the unauthorized sale of the Spanish villa. Property that belonged to all the grandchildren, not just you, Mom. Care to explain? Mom burst into tears. You're destroying this family. Actually, Zechariah interjected, the fraudulent property sale did that, along with the forged signatures, misappropriated funds, and what appears to be a pattern of financial exploitation. Bobby had gone very quiet. The house payments, you're really not going to help? Nick's lawyer called yesterday, I told him. You knew you couldn't afford it, didn't you? You were counting on me to bail you out, just like always. You're my sister, and you're my brother, but that doesn't make me your bank. Dad moved toward the door. We're leaving. This is absurd. Leave if you want, I said calmly. But these documents are going to the authorities either way. The only question is whether you want to handle this privately or in court. You wouldn't dare, Mom whispered. Lucia laughed, a cold, sharp sound. Like you dared to steal my trust fund? Like you dared to sell property that wasn't yours? That was different, Mom protested. How? I asked. Because it benefited you? Because you thought you'd never face consequences? Silence filled the room. Heavy, suffocating silence. Here's what's going to happen, Zechariah stated, pulling out more papers. You're going to sign these documents acknowledging the debt. You're going to sell your house to repay the fraudulent property sale. And you're going to leave Elena and Lucia alone. Or, Dad challenged. Or I file these papers first thing tomorrow morning. Your choice. Mom collapsed into a chair, sobbing. Bobby stared at the floor. Dad's face had turned an alarming shade of red. Elena, Mom choked out, will you ever forgive us? I looked at her, really looked at her, the woman who taught me to be strong, then resented me for it, who preached family loyalty while betraying it. I didn't do this to hurt you, I said quietly. You did that all by yourself. Every time you chose Bobby over me. Every time you lied. Every time you took and took and took, calling it love. Please. The papers are on the table. Sign them or don't, but either way, we're done. They signed, one by one, hands shaking, they signed. As they left, Bobby turned back. You know this makes you just like them, right? Using money to hurt people? No, Lucia answered for me. This makes her smart enough to stop letting people hurt her. The door closed behind them. In the sudden quiet, I could hear my heart beating, steady, strong, free. Well, Zechariah gathered the papers. That's phase 1 complete. Phase 1? I asked. Lucia smiled. Remember that partnership we discussed? Time to help other daughters break their chains. You ready for this? Monica asked, watching me hover over the post button. Once it's out there, you can't take it back. I glanced at my screen where my Reddit post waited. I documented my family's financial abuse for 10 years. Today, I finally stopped it. It needs to be told, I said and clicked. Within hours, the post exploded. Thousands of upvotes, hundreds of comments, all sharing similar stories. Women trapped by family obligation, drained by entitled siblings, guilt-tripped into financial suicide. Look at this one, Lucia pointed to a comment. My parents remortgaged their house 3 times. Each time they made me cover the payments because family helps family. I lost my own house saving theirs. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Saw your post. Same thing happened to me. How did you get out? Then another. Please help. My brother's destroying my credit. And another. My parents forged my signature too. I thought I was alone. You've started something, Monica said softly. I opened my email to find a message from a major online publication. Would you be willing to share your story? We believe this is part of a larger pattern. Lucia leaned over my shoulder. Do it. But first, I have something to show you. She pulled out her laptop, opened a folder labeled Family Archives. Remember how I said I documented everything? She clicked through files, emails, bank statements, voice recordings. It wasn't just about the money. Look at this. A series of messages appeared. Mom coordinating with other relatives, planning how to pressure me into various loans. Dad discussing how to leverage my duty as a daughter. Bobby admitting he never intended to repay anything. They had a whole system, Lucia explained, a playbook for emotional manipulation, and they used it on others before us. My phone lit up with a text from Zechariah. You need to see this. Bobby filed for bankruptcy, listed you as a creditor. Of course he did, I muttered. That's not all, Zechariah continued. Your parents are trying to claim you stole from them. They're building a counter-narrative. Monica grabbed her laptop. Already on damage control. She pulled up my viral Reddit post, where supportive comments were flooding in faster than I could read them. Let them try, Lucia said. We have receipts, literal and figurative. I started typing my response to the publication. Yes, I'll tell my story, but it's bigger than just me. It's about generational patterns of financial abuse disguised as family obligation. Wait, Monica interrupted. Look at this. She turned her screen to show a Facebook post from Mom. With heavy hearts, we must address the lies being spread about our family. Our daughter, influenced by toxic individuals, has chosen money over blood. Toxic individuals? Lucia laughed. That's rich coming from the woman who stole her niece's trust fund. My phone buzzed again. Nick. Elena, we need to talk. Bobby showed me some documents that don't match what you posted. Forward that to me, Zechariah texted immediately. They're getting desperate. I looked at the growing response to my post, the women sharing their own stories, the pattern emerging clear as day. Then I did something I'd been planning for months. I opened a new document and started writing. An open letter to daughters who were made to pay. I see you. The ones who were told that love means empty bank accounts. The ones who were called selfish for having boundaries. The ones who were made to feel guilty for their success. What are you doing? Monica asked. Creating a blueprint, I replied, for every woman who needs to escape what I did. Lucia nodded approvingly. Add the legal resources, the documentation strategies, everything we learned. My phone kept buzzing. More messages, more stories, more women finding their voice. They're going to say you're bitter, Monica warned, that you're airing dirty laundry. Let them, I said, still typing. The truth doesn't need their permission. A notification popped up. Bobby had gone live on Facebook again, crying about family betrayal. But this time, the comments weren't sympathetic. Other stories were emerging, other victims of his financial schemes speaking up. Your parents just listed their house, Zechariah texted. Below market value. They're scrambling. Lucia squeezed my shoulder. Ready for phase 2? I looked at my screen, at the growing community of women sharing their stories, at the blueprint we were creating for escape and recovery. More than ready, I replied, and added one final line to my open letter. To every daughter who was made to pay for the privilege of being family, your worth isn't measured in dollars given or debts forgiven. Your freedom starts the moment you stop accepting guilt as currency. I hit post just as another message came through, from a women's advocacy group. We'd like to help you create a formal program. Too many women need this. See? Lucia smiled. Sometimes the best revenge isn't staying quiet. It's helping others find their voice. Monica raised her coffee cup. To karma, and making it a tax write-off. Your brother forged your signature, Zechariah announced, spreading documents across my office table. Multiple times, actually. On loan applications, credit cards, even a car lease. I stared at the papers, at Bobby's clumsy attempt to replicate my signature. When? Over the past year. He was setting up a safety net, planning for when the house scheme fell apart. Zechariah pointed to a date. This one's from just 2 weeks before they gave him the down payment. Lucia, who'd been quietly observing, leaned forward. He knew. They all knew this would happen. My phone buzzed. Monica sending screenshots of Mom's latest social media crusade. Prayer warriors needed. Satan is attacking our family through material greed. They're selling the house, Lucia reported, scrolling through her phone. Listed it yesterday, way under market value. They have to, Zechariah explained. The fraud investigation is gaining momentum. Better to sell now than lose it in court. Another buzz. A text from Nick. Elena, I'm filing charges against Bobby. The evidence you shared, there's more victims. Many more. I started typing a response when my office door burst open. Bobby stood there, face red, eyes wild. How could you? He shouted. They're losing everything because of you. Sir, you can't be here. My assistant called from behind him. Because of me? I stood slowly. Not because of the fraud, the forgery, the years of theft disguised as family obligation. I was going to pay it back, once the house appreciated. Once you'd squeezed more money out of me? I held up the forged documents. Like with these? He paled slightly. Those aren't... I can explain. Save it for the investigators, Zechariah interrupted. They're very interested in your explanation. Bobby's face crumpled. Mom and Dad are devastated. They might lose their retirement. They lost their retirement the moment they chose to enable you, Lucia said coldly. Elena just exposed what they did to themselves. My phone rang. Dad, I answered on speaker. Elena. His voice was rough. We need to talk. Face to face. Nothing left to say, Dad. Please. Your mother, she's not well. The stress of getting caught, Lucia interjected. Silence then. Lucia? You're still poisoning my daughter's mind? No, Uncle Stuart. Just helping her see clearly. Something you never wanted. Bobby moved toward me, hands raised pleadingly. Sis, please, we can fix this. Make it right. Make it right? I pulled up my documentation folder. Like when you made right the $15,000 you borrowed for your startup? Or the $8,000 for your ex-girlfriend's ring? Or should we talk about the credit cards you opened in my name? I was desperate. You were entitled, I corrected. There's a difference. My assistant appeared with security. Bobby didn't resist as they let him out, but his last words hung in the air. You'll regret destroying this family. The family destroyed itself, Lucia said quietly. We're just refusing to sync with it. My phone buzzed again. A message from the Women's Advocacy Group. Support group launches next week. 20 women already registered. You're changing lives. Dad was still on the line. Elena, whatever you want. Name your price. Just stop this. That's the problem, Dad. You still think this is about money. Then what? What do you want? I thought about the women in the support group, about Lucia's stolen trust fund, about years of manipulation and guilt. I want you to understand what you did, not just to me, but to every woman you taught to sacrifice herself for family. Every daughter you treated like a bank account. We loved you, he whispered. No, you used me. There's a difference there too. After I hung up, Lucia showed me her phone. Mom and Dad's house had sold. Well below value, cash offer, immediate closing. They're running, she observed. Let them, I replied. The documentation is already with the authorities. Zechariah gathered his papers. The fraud investigation goes public next week. More victims are coming forward. This is bigger than your family now. My phone lit up with another message. From a woman in the support group. You gave me courage to check my credit report. Found out my parents took out loans in my name too. Thank you for helping me see the truth. That's what terrifies them most, Lucia mused. Not the money, not the legal consequences. It's the truth finally being spoken. I looked around my office, at the evidence of my success, at the life I'd built despite them, at the community growing from the ashes of what they'd tried to destroy. You know what Mom used to say? I told Lucia. A good daughter keeps family secrets. She smiled grimly. Good thing we're not interested in being good daughters anymore. My phone buzzed one final time. Monica, your story just got picked up by a major network. Ready to go national with this? I thought about all the other daughters out there, drowning in family obligation and financial abuse. Ready, I replied. It's time everyone heard the truth. Welcome to Financial Freedom for Daughters, I addressed the packed conference room. I'm Elena, and like many of you, I was taught that love means empty bank accounts. Hundreds of women looked back at me, some tearful, some angry, all nodding in recognition. Lucia stood at the back, giving me a thumbs up. Today we're going to talk about breaking chains, I continued. About the difference between family loyalty and financial abuse. About... The door opened. Mom slipped in, thin and pale, trying to be invisible in the back row. Our eyes met briefly before I continued. About the moment you realize that saying no doesn't make you a bad daughter. After the session, while women lined up to share their stories, Monica rushed over with her laptop. Bobby's sentencing just came down, she announced. 3 years for fraud. Nick's testimony sealed it. And Dad? Lucia asked, joining us. Fled to Spain last week, Monica replied. But the authorities there are already aware of the property fraud. It's only a matter of time. I noticed Mom still sitting in the back, clutching her purse. When our eyes met again, she stood and walked over slowly. Elena. Her voice was barely a whisper. I watched your interview on television. All of it? I asked. Even the parts about the forged documents? The stolen trust fund? She flinched. I didn't know about all of it. Bobby told us. Save it, Lucia cut in. You knew enough. Mom's hands twisted together. Your father. He's not well. The stress of consequences, I corrected. Different from the stress he put me under all those years? We're losing everything, she said quietly. No, Mom. You're losing what was never really yours, including me. She reached for her phone, hands shaking. I want to show you something. She pulled up a familiar spreadsheet, my karma audit. I've been adding to it, everything we took, everything I did. Lucia and Monica exchanged glances. Why? I asked. Because you were right. About all of it. The manipulation, the guilt, the theft. Tears rolled down her cheeks. I was wrong. We were wrong. Mom. No, let me finish. I watched those women today, telling their stories. They were telling my story too. The story of what I did to my daughter. What my mother did to me. I thought about Lucia's trust fund, about generational patterns. The house sold, Mom continued. I'm using my half to pay back the trust fund, Lucia's trust fund. It won't fix anything, but it's a start, Lucia said quietly. My phone buzzed, another message from our support group. My mother just called, said she watched Elena's interview. She's finally ready to talk about what happened. Mom stood straighter. I'd like to, if you'll let me, I want to tell my story. About being the mother who hurt her daughter. Maybe it will help other mothers stop. I looked at Lucia, who nodded slightly. The next session is Thursday, I said. Be ready to tell the whole truth. I will. She turned to leave, then paused. Elena, I'm sorry, not because we got caught. Because we hurt you. After she left, Monica whistled low. Well, that was unexpected. Think she means it? Lucia asked. I watched through the window as Mom walked to her car, not the luxury sedan she used to drive, but a modest used model. Maybe, I replied. But that's not why we do this anymore. My phone lit up with notifications. More women finding their voice, more daughters breaking free, more mothers facing truth. Lucia squeezed my shoulder. Ready for the next session? I looked around the room where hundreds of women had just shared their stories, where my mother had finally spoken truth instead of manipulation, where patterns were breaking, one story at a time. You know what Bobby said to me once? I told them. Family is everything until success makes you forget where you came from. And? Monica prompted. He was wrong. Success didn't make me forget. It made me remember exactly who I am, not despite them, but because I survived them. My phone buzzed one last time. A message from Zechariah. Trust fund repayment received. Lucia's account restored. Justice served. Speaking of justice, Lucia smiled. The nonprofit paperwork came through. Daughters Freedom Fund is officially launched. Monica raised her water bottle. To karma, and making it sustainable. I thought about Mom's tearful confession, about Bobby's sentencing, about Dad running from consequences, about all the daughters still finding their way to freedom. To truth, I corrected, and all the women brave enough to speak it. Outside, the sun was setting on another day of breaking chains. Tomorrow would bring more stories, more healing, more women choosing themselves over family obligation. But tonight, in this room where truth had finally been spoken, I was no longer the good daughter, the convenient ATM, or the family fixer. I was simply Elena. And that was more than enough.